everybody, so we've got a fun review today as we're discussing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. As a lifelong fan of the Indiana Jones franchise, I went into this fifth film extremely cautiously optimistic because I adore this franchise so much, and honestly, I didn't even really like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull all that much, and it had various factors working against it besides that. No Spielberg as director, Harrison Ford, as much as I love him, he is pushing into his 80s now. Plus, it didn't get a great reception at the Cannes Film Festival, and despite all of those red flags, I was hoping that if this is the final entry in the franchise, at least we can potentially end on a high note. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny follows Indy, who finds himself wrestling with fitting into a new world who seems to have outgrown him. But as a familiar evil rival returns, Indy must jump into action once more to keep an ancient, powerful artifact from falling into the wrong hands. One major thing that I always love about the Indiana Jones franchise is the formula utilized for each and every film. These epic, fun, swashbuckling adventures always manage to capture a certain type of magic nostalgia, and there definitely are segments like that inside of Dial of Destiny on this adventure where I did feel some of that spark again. Despite Steven Spielberg not directing this time around, James Mangold is a worthy director and does his best to deliver on exciting, action-packed adventure with a plethora of tantalizing set pieces and chases that maybe aren't as exhilarating as Spielberg's first three Indiana Jones films, but I found most of them to still be fairly enjoyable. One of those sequences in particular actually opens the film, this big 20-minute plus fight on a train set in the past with this de-aged Harrison Ford, which is surprisingly convincing, albeit it is kind of weird. I think at this point we're kind of just used to seeing de-aged people in all of these properties. The usage here in Dial of Destiny to de-age Harrison Ford, though, is probably one of the most convincing uses of it so far. Amongst a lot of the VFX work in Dial of Destiny, it's probably one of the best looking things about it because overall, the VFX, especially in that third act of Dial of Destiny, it does not look very great. Given the fact that we're dealing with an even older Indiana Jones in Dial of Destiny, one that's on the cusp of retiring as a professor, it's 1969, he's dealing with hippies, I overall like the narrative that was centered around Indiana Jones here. He's this relic of the past who just refuses to move on while he's on this adventure with Helena Shaw, and I think overall it does humanize Indy a lot more as a character, and part of that I do think is due to the fact that Harrison Ford continues to be fantastic as Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford might be 80 years old now, but he is still amazing as Indiana Jones. You can't help but enjoy seeing him portray this character once again, giving it his all. Although they do have to be a bit creative with the fight sequences here, they do a whole lot of shooting around to make it look like Harrison Ford is still able to beat people up even though he's 80 years old. That, along with the various chase sequences, you very much can tell they were trying their best to make it work. The character going into this I was more on the fence about basically is our sidekick in Indy's adventure, Phoebe Waller-Bridge as Helena Shaw. I actually quite like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I mean, Fleabag was excellent. She did a great job writing the first season of Killing Eve, but she's not perfect. I think that she was one of the worst parts of Solo, a Star Wars story, so there's not favoritism here from my part. But in this instance, I actually think she is a pretty fairly fun, charismatic character that adds a lot more to this adventure. She complements Indy quite well, and she has some great sequences of her own, because she's never afraid to tackle these dangerous situations. She even has her own kid sidekick, which is obviously a nod to Short Round. It does seem like, though, with where we're taking her character in the Dial of Destiny, that we might kind of see her be a potential successor to Indiana Jones. That part I'm more on the fence about, but overall I think her character is fine, but I'm sure she's going to draw a lot of criticism online just because there is that possibility. As fun of an experience as certain elements are in the film, there also are many ideas with Indy here that I wish we had followed through with a little bit better, since there are quite a bit of things that are set up here early on that don't really lead to anywhere interesting by the film's end. Even with the Dial of Destiny itself, the artifact everyone is after in the film, especially with the villain here portrayed by Mads Mikkelsen, who pretty much is the quintessential bad guy in any film. He's just always the bad guy in things, and he does a great job with these bad guy roles, so I can see why he keeps getting hired for them. But as we learn in the film, he is very similar to Indiana Jones in many different ways, as he is this man who also is stuck in the past, and that parallel with Indy doesn't really ever build up to anything satisfactory. It left me wanting more as things started heating up in the third act, because the third act in this gets a little bit too crazy in the VFX department without going into too many details about it. I will at least say it isn't as insane as the aliens in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I was kind of touched as an Indiana Jones fan at this kind of farewell that we have set up towards the tail end. It isn't anything super amazing or anything, but I do think it is a nice send-off after everything we experienced inside of the Dial of Destiny with Indiana Jones as a character. One last thing, it goes without saying, but once again, John Williams' score is excellent, mixing in the classics you know from Indiana Jones, but also some exciting new compositions as well. While Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny isn't an amazing send-off for Indiana Jones as a character, there are some solid fun moments here sprinkled throughout that I think Indiana Jones fans are going to enjoy if this potentially truly is the final Indiana Jones film. Currently, I would say it isn't the worst Indiana Jones film, but it doesn't hold a candle whatsoever to the first 3 films that Spielberg directed in the franchise. But now I've heard my thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Make sure you share your thoughts down below once you get a chance to check out the film. Did you like Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Did you not like it? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And also, as always, thank you guys so much for checking out the reviews. I always do appreciate it. We should like on the video, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you update reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. But next time, I'll see you guys later.